Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage. This podcast is dedicated to helping attorneys earn more money, get better clients, and spend more time with family. I'm your host, Alay and founder of Law Firm Success Group. Smart business guidance for small law firms begins in 3, 2, 1. And it's my pleasure to welcome back to Lawyer Business Advantage, Saja Raoof, owner of Raoof Law. Saja, welcome back.
Thank you.
We were just chatting about networking for introverts, and today we're going to jump into a topic that I am really, really excited to get your take on, which is social media for introverts. And I know people say introverts can dominate social media and all of that, but as an introvert myself, I don't like social media one bit. I find it exhausting and a little scary. But you have done a fantastic job of leveraging social media, specifically LinkedIn. First off, just want to check in with you and make sure that that is indeed the social platform of choice for you, or are there others that you're looking into as well?
Absolutely. So far, it's primarily LinkedIn.
And why did you choose to focus on LinkedIn?
Because I feel it gives you a business-focused connection with others, other attorneys, coaches, all kinds of advisors. And it to be memorable on LinkedIn, you speak about what you do in a way that resonates with people outside your area of expertise. So it really brings out creativity and personalized style without being too personal.
Yeah, I love that too about it. And it's the only social media platform I know that does a really good job of doing that. And it's really stood the test of time compared to a lot of others. So, now when you do a post on LinkedIn, let's talk about where you are now, and then we can talk about how you got there, because there's a lot of cool stuff to unpack. When you do a post on LinkedIn now, what are the typical results you see when you put it out there?
I tend to get a lot of engagement on my LinkedIn posts. Of course, it's, sometimes it's not, 100% every single post, but
right.
a lot of posts that I put up, I don't necessarily expect engagement on, but they get a lot of reactions. And it's good to see that there is interest in immigration law out there and that people are engaging, and for the most part, there's respectful feedback. So it's fulfilling to be able to talk about people's journeys to the US, such a big part of their lives, in a way that appeals to a wide readership.
Yeah, and can you share with us some numbers that you look at to give you a sense of how well your posts are performing?
Some things pick up thousands of posts within 24 to 48 hours. I was particularly surprised when I posted about 12 or 14 months ago about my own journey and how my family and I came to immigrate to the US. And I started the post with the sentence, the one thing that all Iraqis can agree on, no matter their religion or ethnicity, is that the last few decades have been hell. And I questioned whether I should use that word in the opening sentence on a professional social media platform. And I decided there is no way to sugarcoat it. That is how my story needs to be told. That does need to be the exact wording of the first sentence. My degrees and my experience are on the About page on my website. But in speaking about my why, the gravity of my family's journey and the circumstances that compelled them to make the US their home, given that Iraq has been through war after war after war since I was born, needs a needs an unusually vulnerable and authentic opening line. And it's been a while since I looked, but it gathered thousands of reactions and over and triple digit comments.
Wow, that is really something. Um, and this is really interesting because you have a very powerful personal story. You share that with me. Um, and that personal story ties directly into the practice of immigration. And there's a lot of attorneys who might be in your situation who might say, well, I don't really feel comfortable, sharing my personal story, or maybe even worse, using my personal story to grow my law firm. I mean, I might feel like a sellout, or that I'm cheapening myself, or something like that. How did you kind of approach leveraging your personal story to gain that kind of visibility on LinkedIn?
I talked about how when I was 13 and it was clear that my family and I were never returning to Iraq, and my dad started to look at immigrating to the US. And I talk about how I helped him put our green card application together over the course of a year. He qualified for what's called Alien of Extraordinary Ability. And I've interviewed him on that entire process, and I posted it on my LinkedIn. And I've had clients reach out and say they contacted me because of my interview with my dad. So, and this is a common theme among immigration attorneys. There are quite a few immigration lawyers who also chose this particular career, having been through that journey themselves. And it's no different than, say, a family lawyer who arrived at their choice of career because they went through a difficult divorce and they wanted to, they felt it was empowering to choose that career, having gone through the process themselves, or personal injury, or what have you. I think those kind of stories make us relatable, and uh, they I don't think the concerns that we may have about we're undermining ourselves if we share that side of us. I don't think there's validity to that.
Yeah, quite the contrary. As a non-attorney, kind of looking at attorneys through that lens, man, we have all sorts of wonky stereotypes about attorneys, and most of them are negative, right? The attorney that just wants nothing but money, the attorney that, just gives advice in bad faith, like it just goes on and on and on. And, most of that stuff is completely false. Um, but that's what we get exposed to. And when, me as a non-attorney get to hear that, oh my gosh, this attorney actually has a personal reason for practicing law. They're not just in it for the money. They're not just in it to be in a courtroom. Like, they're really genuinely in it to help. And here's the proof. Um, that just makes me have so much more faith in that person. Um, and so I'm not surprised. And did you have any qualms or concerns about sharing that personal side?
Absolutely. I was so when I wrote it, I felt so compelling, and it felt so um, exhausting to put on paper, and I felt so vulnerable that I decided to post it without running it by anyone, yourself included. I told you about it after the fact because I didn't want the possibility of changing my mind. Like there was something very strong about it that I decided to just go ahead and hit post. And it wasn't even at an optimal time as far as the LinkedIn algorithm is concerned. I just put it there before I changed my mind and was stunned at the reaction.
Well, if you when I went back and read that and watched the videos that you subsequently posted, the reactions are well merited because it's really outstanding stuff. It's from the heart. It's very courageous. It's compelling. It's very compelling. Um, so, donning the introvert hat here for a moment, how would you say, posting on LinkedIn compares with other business development things that you do for as an introvert, like compared to networking? How easy or difficult is it, or different is it for social media?
So, like networking, it involves being vulnerable, taking, feeling exposed, um, but also like networking, a giving mentality is everything. So when you engage other people's posts, and when you comment and like and share and come with the mindset of giving before you receive, I found that useful in LinkedIn as in with networking.
And then on LinkedIn, it seems like you've been actually getting more personal on LinkedIn than you were maybe you would in a typical networking type of setting. Can you elaborate on that or comment on that?
I realized that the things that I thought were hindrances are actually um, points of meaningful connection with other people. So, talking about introversion, talking about my personal immigration journey, talking about my type 1 diabetes, talking about things that I used to think were limitations and I had thought would undermine the way I come off, actually served to um, foster deeper connections with other people.
Hmm. That's really something that I hope, whether you're introverted or not, just all the attorney entrepreneurs that are listening, really take note of that, because being your authentic self, there's a lot of power in that. There still is, despite everything. That term came into vogue, what, 5, 10 years ago, something like that. But it has a lot of power, and the reason it's part of the conversation is because so few people do it, even to this day. And you do, Saja, and the results speak for themselves. Um, and speaking of results, one thing we were talking about the other day about a LinkedIn post, we were trying to figure out, what you should post about. One of the things you mentioned to me was that your posts that are focused on immigration tend to get a lot more attention than your posts that are focused on, Saja the networking guru, or Saja the public speaker, or whatever it happens to be. Can you elaborate a little bit on how that professional thought leadership has really driven your posts?
I think immigration being the hot topic that it is, whether we're during an administration that is welcoming to immigrants or not, it's at the top of a lot of people's minds, whether it's regardless of which uh, sub area within immigration, be it business immigration, family immigration, asylum, or what have you. So it's top of mind and it's relevant. So things that I post that may seem mundane to immigration attorneys actually end up generating a lot of interest just because it is people are constantly thinking about it. It's a top issue.
This is one of the really cool things about being a lawyer that I absolutely love. I'm not a lawyer, but all my clients are. And when we talk about, what ideas can we write about, or what can we post on LinkedIn, or what have you, there's so many great stories just by looking at your desk. I mean, there's a reason why there are TV series and plays and movies made about the law, because it's dramatic and it's really interesting. It
Mhm.
grabs people. So, if you're a corporate attorney, or you're a trust and estates attorney, or a family law attorney, personal injury, immigration, you name it, there are really interesting stories that you're involved with that people would love to hear about. And to your point, Saja, writing about that stuff, on LinkedIn is a great way to do it, because that's where you're communicating with other professionals, and LinkedIn is set up to showcase your expertise as a professional.
Mhm.
That's what it's designed for, and that's what you're doing.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to other introverts who are looking to get started with social media?
Think about the value that you're delivering. Prioritize that, make that your main focus, and that will take care of the self-consciousness you may be feeling about broadcasting yourself.
It's great advice. And who should they be writing to? What's the target audience? Is it other attorneys, or is it potential clients, or is it somebody else?
I address, or it feels at least that my posts have gotten engagement from both referral partners as well as potential clients. So I don't necessarily have a formula for what percentage I do for each audience, but I just will write a post. Last week, for example, I wrote on what does 1/4 mean as far as the date. Is it January 4th? Is it April 1st? And that could be relevant to both an immigrant or to an advisor who works with them.
Right, right. But the group you're not writing to is you're not writing to other attorneys or other immigration attorneys. So your posts don't have a lot of legal terminology or jargon.
Correct. So far, no, I'm not primarily writing to other immigration lawyers.
Okay, that's something for us to take to the bank. And have you ever thought about doing stuff on like TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or one of these other types of social media?
It's crossed my mind. I haven't decided to execute just yet. Maybe someday in the near future, who knows?
Well, this actually strikes, I think, perhaps to what we think about as introverts, because for some reason, I don't know if you have the same thing, Saja, I don't find LinkedIn all that tiring. Like, to me, it's just a professional forum where I can behave like a professional, but Facebook I find exhausting. And
Yeah.
I don't even touch TikTok or Instagram. It's just exhausting for whatever reason. Is that something that you experience too, or is it just me?
I haven't really tried Facebook and Instagram that much professionally. So I just use it for, the standard Facebook, cat pictures and that kind of thing. Not so much for business development. The people I've spoken to who do use Instagram enjoy it. I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't explored it that much yet.
And so maybe another suggestion we can make to introverts who are looking to do more or to get involved with social media is start with the platform that makes the most sense. For you and I, it's been LinkedIn. I suspect for a lot of professionals, it'll probably be LinkedIn. A lot of attorneys will want to do LinkedIn, and that's where you should start. And it makes a lot of sense. If for some reason, though, you absolutely love one of the other platforms, jump in and start with that one, but start with one and see how it goes, right?
Mhm.
And remember, whatever you do, make sure that you're authentic when you're doing this social media.
Mhm. My one of my top inspirations for being authentic on social media is James Robilora, who I met through Roman Zelichenko. And he has really very powerful content on the importance of being authentic and being yourself in any kind of context when you're speaking publicly or when you're engaging on social media.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you, Saja. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your experience with us here on Lawyer Business Advantage. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Alay. I appreciate you.
Well, we like it so much. We're going to have you back for another episode next week where we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? Oh yeah, public speaking for introverts. Now there's a real conundrum, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about it. Saja, if people want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
My website is sar.law.
Awesome. Thank you, Saja.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in to listen. And I want to hear from you, so connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think of this episode. And if you are a solo or an owner of a small law firm and you're looking to earn more money, attract better clients, or reduce your stress, We would love to talk with you to see how we can help. Request your free law firm assessment by visiting lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. Again, that URL is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. We look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Alay and Until next time, remember, you can seize freedom, you can embrace happiness, you can build your perfect practice.